Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports and 3G, and the final Falcon and the Winter Soldier breakdown. It's bittersweet, Clem, that we're here week 6. We didn't get that many weeks to break this down. We didn't get that many weeks to speculate on what's going to happen next week. Who is the power broker? Is the power broker Mephisto? Who knows? We didn't get that much time, but we got a great finale, in my opinion. I have watched it twice now. I loved it both times. Both times the first time I was really getting the tears flowing. The second time, I was just tearing up. But I loved it. What were your general thoughts on the finale of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
So I was fine with it. I didn't love it. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's the one thing about. I think we a lot of times we do have differing viewpoints, and I don't know what it was. I don't want to say half baked. It just felt like there was moments they could have added a little more gravitas to, I guess, or it felt like half measures instead of full measures with some stuff. And again, this is the toughest part with Marvel content. I think we're going to have for the first few, I was going to say like series, but it might be the first few years. Endgame and Infinity War hit on so many high levels. And even in like that period in between Infinity War and Endgame, which it might have just been actually Captain Marvel was the only movie out, but everything was just like, well, it's not really, you just think of how they hit every single mark in those. And it's almost impossible to do it. But, we'll get into all the stuff that happened. There was a few big things that happened in this episode that I feel like maybe if they had 8 episodes, they could have kind of like hammered home. Maybe they don't need to hammer it home. And that's kind of the stance they're taking is it's like, we don't need to spell it out for you the way we spelled it out for you in the origin stories and the early movies. But there were a few things where I'm just like, oh, wow. So that happened. And now here we are. We're on to the next phase of these two characters here. And I thought there'd be a little more oomph to it. But again, that's coming, I think, going into the series too. You're a Cap guy. I'm not a Cap guy. So this might hit you in a different way from me. But as someone that is kind of on the outside looking in, I thought I'd kind of get my hand held a little more going from different phases. So I do think there's kind of both sides. I know there's people out there that loved it. I know there's people out there that are kind of mad about it. But
I saw some people disappointed. Yeah, I saw some people saying this wasn't all it was made out to be. We didn't get any big cameos in this one, which I was like, man, if you didn't learn your lesson in WandaVision, like these shows, it seems they're taking the characters that were sort of in the background for the movies that didn't get much screen time, and they're giving us a reason to care about them leading into the next phase of the Marvel Universe. I think that's fair to say. That's a fair assessment of what WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier both were. And I'll say they did their jobs right for me in that I care way more about Wanda, Vision, Falcon, and the Winter Soldier than I did leading into these shows. You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed it in that way. I will say, just like the WandaVision finale, I felt it was a little rushed. I felt like give us a little more time in that finale, especially for a show just like WandaVision that has slow build to start. They kind of, again, it's like you're writing a poster for a baseball game or a wrestling show, and you start with the huge letters, and then by the end of the poster, you're like, we're going to have to make this a little smaller. They sort of did that in the show. I didn't think it was as bad or as noticeable as WandaVision, and WandaVision wasn't bad at all. It was just that final episode we felt was a little rushed, but we can get right into it. I'm going to do the 3G ad, but there's so much to talk about that I feel like we should just dive right in.
Yeah, and I kind of want to agree with your point there. I do think that there was a lot, and I think both these shows kind of peaked in episode 5-ish, 4-ish, and granted this was only a 6-episode series, but I do feel like it kind of went down to the end. And again, I do think there's a chance that COVID played a part in that, because both these things, I think, I don't know how much of the post-production was done with COVID, but then there was also the storyline, right? That might have been a virus storyline or something like that. So that might have and again, we're going to get into this stuff during the episode, and I'm going to say parts that I felt like were a little rushed, but it definitely felt like they could have done at least another episode and kind of slowly hammered home all the points, just like in WandaVision. But again, these are, I'd say, tier 3 characters in the MCU, at least what they were in the old MCU. Now, fucking 4 of those tier 1 guys are just gone, or going to take a little bit of a pause here. But I agree. It was very posterish, where it's just like, oh shit, we got to fit the S at the end. We can kind of get it, and it's not quite. I was gonna say it's like the old meme where it's like the horse where it's like looks incredible in the beginning. They're not dribbling at the end, but it does feel a little bit rushed. And again, I don't want to we're going to talk a lot about this during the episode here, so we'll just leave it at that.
All right, let me tell everybody about 3Chi, our favorite sponsor. This past week, watching 420 in the office, watching Frank the Tank, Doug's. So many people enjoy 3Chi for the very first time. And, Frank was giggling his ass off. Doug's was sleeping like a baby in that recliner. It was just a delight for me to see. And it was nice for people to kind of get a sense of like, all right, no, they're not messing with us. This stuff really works. What is 3Chi? It is federally legal Delta 8 THC. And 3Chi are the industry leaders. They basically invented the industry. They are the best in the business. Their 3Chi provides a functional alternative and a functional high. Gives you that buzz, but it doesn't give you anxiety, doesn't give you paranoia, doesn't give me any of that stuff anyway. I swear by this stuff. I use it every day. Their products are expanding daily now, I feel like. Every time I go to the 3Chi site, I see a new treat. I see a new product on their products list. So that's awesome. I mean, the Rice Krispies, the cookies, the brownies, so many ways to enjoy 3Chi. If you use the promo code MMB at checkout, you will get 5% off your complete order. And you can join the party. You can join the buzz with the rest of us. You got to be 21 or older to order. And remember, this is psychoactive. It's not just CBD. So it's going to give you a buzz. You got to use it responsibly. But when you use it responsibly, it is a great time.
It is also, as you said, unit approved. Even like the units, the big boys in the office, they each had like an edible, and it took them down. So again, we kind of like you don't just dive into the pool. You kind of just feel the water, see how cold it is, see how warm it is, and you slowly wade your way in, and then everything is going to be a good float the rest of the way. And like you said, I just went on their website because I think it was about 6 months ago is when I got my last shipment when I bought some stuff on 3Chi. And it's literally twice as much stuff as was in there last time. There's a relief cream here, the CBD relief cream I see. There's obviously the edibles, the brownie, the cookies, the cereal treats. I mean,
they've got like multiple cereal treats too. They've got like the kind of Fruity Pebbles one, the Rice Krispie one. They've got they're literally expanding flavors by the minute here.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
I want to go to their factory. That's like my version of going to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. I want to see the 3Chi factory with like the oil fountain or it's like a cloudy room or something. It's like you're floating in the clouds. Take me to the 3Chi headquarters.
You ever been to the 3Chi factory on 3Chi? The old half big one.
Yeah. Let's talk about this episode. Let's get right into it. We get the Marvel intro right up front. We see Carly. She's the first person we see in New York City. They're executing the plan. Remember, at the end of the last episode, we saw the room went red, and they're trying to stop the GRC from expanding on this vote or shutting down the borders here. And New York City is on full lockdown. We see the NYPD, and this just got me jazzed up because I think we've talked about it before. Anything in New York, just as a New Yorker, gets you excited. Like when you recognize a building you've seen, when you recognize the Freedom Tower was in the background for so much of this episode. I was like, all right, this is fucking happening down the street. I could close my eyes. If I take enough 3Chi, I could pretend it's happening live, and this is just a live feed.
Speaking of 3Chi, I know another partaker in 3Chi, our boy Devlin. I remember when we first moved to the old HQ, and we would pass the Flatiron building. He's like, I just get to pass the Spider-Man building every day, and he just was in love with that. And it is one of those things. I do feel like in the MCU version of New York, the rent has to be much cheaper, right? Because there's always a catastrophe being done by supervillains. It's really messed up. I mean, after the Thanos invasion, or excuse me, not the Thanos, the Loki invasion, I guess we can call it. I mean, Thanos was behind it. At that point, that's when everyone's moving up to the suburbs with me, and
definitely.
It was like 9/11.
Rent goes way down. Everyone's negotiating with their realtors to try to get it down the next lease or whatever. That's like when COVID, when it went down after COVID. Could you imagine that? Yeah. Oh my God. I live near the Grand Central place too. Sometimes when I take an Uber to work, we drive over the spot where they do the big circle in front of Grand Central. And every time, of course, as a nerd, I get little goosebumps.
That's a goosebumps moment. I don't think I've seen the first Avengers movie. I might have seen it once at home. So that's going to have to be a rewatch at some point because that is
shocking.
Yeah, that is a legitimate goosebumps moment there. I'd say maybe 2 times, but that was, again, once the kids hit, that's when just, all free time went out the window real quickly. But yeah, there's so many cool spots in New York. I will say it was also kind of weird. There was how many of the Infinity Stones were in? Was it 3 in New York in Endgame? Right. It was.
There's the Time Stone, which was on Bleecker Street with Doctor Strange.
Yep.
There was York
No,
first.
no, it was Endgame. It was the Sorcerer Supreme, right?
Yep.
Then the staff, Loki's staff, and then the
Yep.
Tesseract. So there's literally like, I love Marvel. We have to start expanding the MCU. Like, let's just not keep hitting us New Yorkers, man. It's not right. I understand it's the greatest city in the world, all that mumbo jumbo, but like, stop fucking destroying our buildings. How much is like a one bedroom apartment? It has to be like $600 now. It's like, I'm just gonna get murdered by an alien. What is it? Alien wizards. What was the line that they had?
Androids.
And androids, yeah. You have to have insurance for all that too. So then that has to fuck everything up. No bueno. Stop attacking my city, MCU.
I wonder if
you bastard.
The civilians would turn against the superheroes. Like, stop living in the city. Like, we don't want you here because they attacked you. Like, Doctor Strange, get out of the Sanctum Sanctorum. We don't want you on Bleecker Street. Imagine he gets evicted.
I think we just came up with a storyline for a future Marvel movie, or at least a TV show, Bob. At least give us an episode.
That's realistic enough for the MCU to at least bring it up as, like, you know, a concern that somebody has. Like, you know, one person's like, I don't like that they live in our neighborhood.
Oh my God! Like all like the tabloid journalists and stuff like that, like J. Jonah Jameson or whatever. Like someone like, keep these superheroes out of our city. There, yeah. It's a magnet for wizards, androids, and aliens.
So we see Falcon's almost there. He's almost at the place where the GRC vote is happening. Bucky's on the ground. Sharon takes her face off. She was like a man. It was Mission Impossible style, where they have like the actual print of someone's face, and she takes that off. She's made it to New York for Madripoor, and the Flag Smashers throw gas into the room where the vote's happening, go all these gas grenades. Falcon bursts in through the window at this point in his full Captain America suit. We see the full vibranium, red, white, and blue suit in its full glory. I thought it looked amazing. It's very comics accurate. It's like exactly how it looks in the comic books. And someone says, "Who the hell are you?" And he says, "I'm Captain America." Like right off the bat, they don't make you wait for it in the finale. They're like, all right, you're going to get a full episode of Falcon being Captain America, doing cool Captain America shit, using the shield. He says it's a misdirect. Everyone's got to stay inside. They want you to leave the building. So let's get inside. And then GSP shows up. We saw him in the last episode. You know, he was hired by Carly, or so we thought, and they get into a fight outside. What do you think of the new Captain America suit? I'll throw it right to you and ask you what you thought.
It was cool. I liked it. This is something
that's upgrade, because I know you didn't like the last Falcon suit.
Yeah, huge upgrade over the Falcon suit. This is the problem with Falcon though in general that I realized when I was like, oh, that's a sweet suit. That headgear. It's just a tough headgear. He needs to Star-Lord it so then when he's not flying around, it just disappears because he just looks like a fucking nerd and look, guy with glasses on sings. He looks like a nerd with those goggles on. He looks nerdy and he has it on and he's like talking. He has this like demeanor about him. And I'm like, Falcon, come on, man. Just ditch. Like Captain America doesn't have to wear goggles. It just feels weird. All right. And this is a guy with glasses saying it.
Maybe in the next Captain America movie, because we did get confirmation after this finale dropped that that's what it's leading into. Captain America 4, and it will be starring Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, which I think is pretty badass. But maybe in the next one, he'll discover Tony Stark's nanotech. Like he'll go meet up with Pepper or something, get a loan, and then discover the nanotech and be like, oh, can I use some of that?
Poor fucking Falcon's going to literally have to take out a loan to buy his suit at this point. No one's going to give him anything. If he's going to want any kind of technology, he's going to pay for himself. Pepper, help the man out. Happy. Who else can we like? I mean, the Wakandans are the only people. The Wakandans are doing more for Captain America than America is doing for Captain America. Which
credit to them at this point. They said at the end of Black Panther, we're going to expand. We're going to give vibranium to the world. All right. You're holding up your end of the bargain there.
In the words of Stu Feiner, promises made, promises kept, promises delivered. I don't know. Mulch is here. There's a lot of different Stu Feiner phrases in my head at all given times, rattling around in my brain. I also found it interesting how like they kind of Carly was like, oh, he's here. It was very Cap centric, right? Where it seemed like he was their main focus for a lot of the time. I did think it was a little interesting how they just happened to be right where he burst in through the window. Again, it's Hollywood. I get it. All that.
This was all to me Batman vibes. Like I got such Batman vibes from like, oh, he's here. Like you see, oh, he's the Gotham City goons. Like, oh, there's the Bat and shit like that. And then he bursts in, you know, when the cape comes open and it's fucking Batman in his full glory, Danny Elfman theme. But
And
shout out to next week, by the way, Batman 89 commentary on this channel. Make sure you subscribe over there if you want to check out for that next Monday.
We also have a T-shirt that cannot be released. And
three T-shirts. A line of merchandise that we are going to release when we hit 4,000 subs. Can't be released until we hit 4,000, so it's on you guys.
And I sprung that on you. I didn't like text you like, hey, let's try to get I just tweeted you and you're like, yep, let's rock. So now we're basically being held captive by our own words here. So
I'm putting the shirts on screen right now. Come on, these are fire designs by our guy Nathan Hurst. He outdid himself with the Captain America with all the Avengers around. Even Howard the Duck is on there. I mean, come on. You're going to want the Thanos one if you're a Clem guy. We've got the Infinity Stars around that one. We've got the full-size Captain America one, the pocket tee. Come on, 4,000 subs for this? You got it.
Even if you don't want it, do it for people that do want it and are just like, you goddamn assholes, I've subscribed. Again, you can subscribe with your account, your significant other's account, your parents' account, your kids' account, your dog's. This is all Google accounts. You don't even need YouTube. It's all the same thing. They
if you have a Gmail, which everyone does, you can subscribe.
There you go. So that was our subscription begging for this episode. This is the one thing I will say to any future superheroes that realize there's a misdirection where they're trying to get the hostages out of the building. Be like, it's like Die Hard. It's like Die Hard. They want you out of the building. Don't do it. And then everyone will just be like, oh, and then you just reverse course. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to bring it back to Die Hard at all times when I can.
They needed Tom Holland to show up, which basically that should be his territory in New York, right? I don't know if he was on the field trip during this or what, but he should have showed up and been like, oh, it's just like Die Hard. He's the one to make the pop culture reference. Someone hands a phone to Bucky in all of this chaos. And speaking of Die Hard, it's a bit of a Die Hard 3 moment because Carly is on the other end. She's the one that wants to talk to him, and she accuses him of never fighting for anything bigger than himself, which is a bit ironic considering he fought against the Nazis in World War II. But he says, listen, you don't want to do this. You're going to remember every single person you killed. And he said that with a bit of weight behind it, where you could tell he's thinking of everyone he killed as he says it. And she says, thanks for picking up my call. He realizes he was really just being distracted while a bunch of senators were being loaded into corrupt NYPD vans. Sharon bumps into one of them and then kills him with what she calls mercury vapor. It looked like acid, and it was, I mean, a pretty violent, or not even violent, just vicious, disgusting kill. His face was like melting off and burning, and that's when you're like, oh, you're probably the power broker, because that's not shit that good guys do.
I mean, Sharon's lived on the sus list. Once I saw that, I was like, we're not even going to hire anymore. Like, tip of the cap, Sharon. I don't know about you. I've always been terrified of mercury. Like, I remember when we had thermometers as kids, that's what it was. It's like little mercury. And I remember if it breaks, this will happen. Or if like a drop of mercury went into a water system, it would fucking pollute the whole thing. Apparently, your entire body melts off, your face turns to fucking rubble, and it's just a nightmare. So yeah, I'm even more scared of mercury than I was before the weekend, which I didn't think was even possible because it scared the shit out of me as a kid. I would have loved it if they just played like a prank on Bucky, because he's really an old man, right? Like Bucky is really an old man. He's like almost 100 years old. If they're like, Bucky, your refrigerator's running, go get it. I was like, oh, God, you goddamn kid.
See more butts there?
Oh, he just throws some old Bart Simpson mode pranks at him. That would be incredible too. But it was one of those things where I like how they try to take him off the field, just like they try to take, like when Scarlet Witch is off of the field in the beginning, and it's kind of like, oh, like a little bit of respect to Bucky. So that was cool. But I also, Bucky, like, he fought the Nazis and he fought Thanos. Like, give the guy a little bit, put some respect on his name here. God damn it.
Like, if he didn't fight Thanos, or, you know, it wasn't just him that was responsible, but if he wasn't part of that group that fought Thanos, Carly's not there because the world isn't there.
Carly might be like, well, if you didn't fight Thanos, I mean, it still would have been a snap, and everything would still be pretty fucking cool right now.
Fought him twice. Had to fight him twice.
Had to fight him twice.
All the while, Sam is still upstairs fighting GSP. They're getting into a pretty cool fight scene where he drops the shield. You could see he's still getting used to using it. He even throws it at one point. GSP throws a chair at it, and it fucking makes the shield drop. And I was like, really? An office chair is going to make that thing drop? All the physics, but it is what it is. He eventually gets to show off some tricks, some new Captain America Falcon tricks, where he abandons the fight with GSP. He throws the shield out the window and then flies after it, catches up with it, catches it, which was badass. And he's chasing these two helicopters. They've got hostages inside. Red Wing flies up to one of them. He sees that one of them has in-flight training, so we start hatching a plan with her. This was pretty badass, and I thought just the throwing the shield out the window and then flying after it was one of the coolest things we saw in the episode.
So this goes back into what I said last episode when he kept practicing off the trees, and I was like, it's not always going to be that easy. And then a fucking desk chair knocked it out of his hand. I was like, I told you it wasn't going to be that. And look, when you're trying something new, that's very important. I probably told the same like 5 jokes when I first got hired at Barstool because I knew they worked and whatever. He's going to be doing that fucking dive down to catch the shield so many times. We may not see it in whatever he's in next, Captain America 4 or whatever, but that is going to be his move because it's just like, do what you know and don't do anything else. You can't just hit shit off the trees. You don't have the Steve Rogers training where you can play all the angles and stuff like that. I will say this though. And this is going to be tough here. Captain America might get canceled. Did you hear all those French jokes he was throwing around there? That doesn't play in 2020. What is it, 23 at this point? 24?
Yeah, and in the Marvel universe, I think it's 2023.
Yeah, I mean, shit. If it's bad now in 21, I can't imagine what it's like.
He's a little cultured. He's learning languages. He just spent some time in Europe. You know, he just talking some shit in his language.
I think the French are like the one people that still are allowed to be made fun of. Like that was always the thing as a kid. It was like they were the cowards. They were this. They were that.
And by snails, right? Everyone always brought that up about him.
Yeah, they always did. Wait till I flag. They had the worst army, all this kind of stuff. And
Les Mis sucked. I didn't like that movie.
Les Mis sucked. And they could smell. You know what? We're not gonna get canceled.
Yeah, listen. If we got listeners in France, we're sorry. that was unnecessary. Those were all ricochet shots.
This was very, very extremely unnecessary. I'm just saying, like a black Captain America has a lot of challenges. Don't get the cancel culture on going against you too. That's a fucking like 7-front war. We know the French could have won that war, by the way. Actually, you know, I'm not going to make that.
no more French. Listen, we love the French.
we love the French. The putting the people in armored cars, that was Dark Knight vibes as well. I actually wrote that in my notes.
Yes,
and when he's flying in the Hudson and Cap, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard not to call him Falcon. Can we agree on that?
It is, because I wrote it a couple times. You know, I watched the episode once just playing like a fan, and then I watch it and write down everything that's happening in order so I could kind of follow along with this whole thing. And I kept writing Falcon, and I kept being like, nah, I can't write it. I got to give him the respect. He's fucking Captain America.
All right, so for the rest of this episode, I think I'm calling him Falcon America. Because again, it's one of those things they didn't give you that big moment. He says it up front, which I do appreciate. I appreciate we didn't have to like wait for the suit. That was one thing I hated about all the old Godzilla movies, right? It's like you'd never see Godzilla. He'd pop in like after an hour of bad like character building of human characters. They gave you the suit. He said he's Captain America. I appreciate all that, but I never got that moment, which we'll get into as we go on. So it's either Falcon America, Captain Falcon. I feel like Falcon America works. So Falcon America
is kind of badass. I don't hate that at all.
It's not.
And when
bad.
you say they gave us the suit right up front, I thought of The Rise of Skywalker weirdly when I saw the suit. I was like, thank God we're getting a full episode with the suit, seeing its full capability, seeing him use, the jetpack and the shield combined. He was kind of like pushing people with it. That was cool. And I thought of The Rise of Skywalker because they give Rey what I think is a really cool lightsaber at the end, the yellow one that turns on in a way we've never seen, but we never get to see her use it. And that was a little bittersweet for me. I'm like, why don't you give her the fucking lightsaber at the beginning of the movie and let us have a full movie, letting her go wild? So I kind of thought about that, and I was like, hey, they did it right. They gave us a full 45 minutes of the new Captain America.
Now that you bring up Star Wars and just all the stuff they didn't give us and the fatigue as I just think about it and all the things like in 10 years is when they would probably start bringing stuff like that back. I'm like, you know what? This episode wasn't so bad. It was actually like we scratched our back a little bit. They took care of it. But when he says, again, like the French stuff was like there were some corny French jokes, and he says a little birdie told me you know how to fly a helicopter. I'm like, oh, Red Wing's a little birdie.
Yeah.
he's learning how to be a superhero, and part of the superhero is being a little corny with it, right? So, and especially
True,
Captain
and
America.
Captain America. Yeah, Captain America. If you're going to be a corny superhero, if you're going to make dad jokes, Captain America is the superhero to do that. So
Exactly.
he gets a pass on that. We cut to the Flag Smashers and Carly is getting more and more extreme as we get closer and closer to the vote, where she says she wants to kill the hostages, doesn't really care about them. The Flag Smashers are like, whoa, I didn't think we were going to kill them. She's like, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they die. It doesn't matter if we die. I think it's fine if we all die. And the looks on their faces tell us that they're in on this. They're going to follow her, but they're not as passionate about it as she is. Sam fucking drop kicks one of the helicopters and then shields himself and a few of the people on the bridge with his wings from the explosion. Another very badass use of the suit, badass use of the vibranium. Bucky hits an all-time clothesline using the motorcycle over a barricade. That was incredible. The stunt coordinator on this show, I think he's the same guy in The Mandalorian. That's like, he does the whole Marvel universe, does The Mandalorian, does this. He deserves a raise. He shields himself with his arm from the Flag Smashers, of course, and just kind of fucks all of them up. Carly lights a truck on fire with the hostages in it as a diversion, and then John Walker shows up for Carly. You had to see it coming, but the way he says, Morgenthau, just another one. Like when he said Lamar, like when he said Morgenthau, it just pissed me off. I was like, oh, it's fucking John Walker. All right.
John Walker, and there's no H in John too, which makes I like it's a little different. It's that kind of
is it Jon?
I think it's just a Jon Walker.
Oh,
yeah,
wow. I didn't even realize that.
And I am too scared to call out the H-less Johns out here because there's probably gonna be a lot of people I'm gonna bum out. Let's see, is it John Walker? Let's see, John Walker.
I think John Levitz has an H-less John.
Oh no, he has an H. Okay, so this John does have an H. That's a tough one for the John H's because I feel like they kind of have the leg up. The Johns with an H, they kind of look down upon the Johns without an H, right? It's like there's also
I look down on people that spell Robbie with a Y. I'll be completely honest.
Yeah, we've been over this. Remember, we're like, don't you dare put in that promo code with a fucking Y, or we will fucking murder you. And then I remember because I know a few Connors on Twitter. Obviously, our boy Captain Cons. We got the New Jersey Mick. We got a couple other Connors, and there's a big 2N versus 1N with the Connors, right?
McGregor uses 1N,
and this is how I decide what is the official name. Like in this case, Connor. What is the official Connor? 1N or 2? Whoever the most famous and revered Connor or person of that name in that moment, that's the way it's spelled. Right now, it's been Conor McGregor for years now. But if there's, fucking some other Connor
McDavid.
Yeah, Connor McDavid comes out and McGregor, he retires. McDavid, wins whatever the fuck they call the Lady Bing Trophy. I don't know what the hell they call it. Shout out to me for even knowing the Lady Bing Trophy.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So I feel like John, like the name John right now, it's probably, who would you say is the biggest John in the world right now?
John Cena?
John Cena. Wow. John Mayer?
I have a John Cena thing like right on my wall. I just looked and it was John Cena. So that's why I said that.
If I put in the name John, who's the first? I mean, I guess that's the first Google result is the hottest John in the world right now, right?
Yeah.
Number one, John the Apostle. No, John Cena.
Wow.
Cena. But that's with an H, and then the Johns, the champion of the Johns,
John Cryer.
Ooh, John Favreau. Oh, that's a tough one.
That's tough to miss. Look, this is tough to miss out on while I'm wearing this, ain't it?
Oh wow, yeah, and we're in the basement too. Oh,
okay, but listen, at least we know John Walker spells it with the H, John Favreau spells it without the H. So it's like a good and a bad. It's like a light and dark side right there. Yeah. It's like, all right, actually, right now at this moment, I think maybe we lean with the Jons.
And listen, you guys know the Twitters. Hit us up who's like the biggest H John, who's the biggest no H John, and we will put them at a test to see who the kings of the Johns are.
We should do like a Survivor series, like 5-on-5, and we'll debate what John team is better. And then we need the people in the comments. People in the comments curate a bunch of Johns for us, and we're gonna choose 5 Johns that spell it Jon and 5 Johns that spell it John, and we'll debate on a future episode of My Mom's Basement which John team is superior.
Hashtag John fight. Did you see that thing, the Josh fight that went
Yes,
on
the
this weekend?
Josh
I
fight.
grabbed it.
You know, when I first saw it, I didn't read it all the way. I just saw the video and I was pissed off, Clem. I was like, who didn't invite me to this fucking thing? Because it looks like a blast. People are dressed up as Spider-Man, as Chewbacca. They have lightsabers. I'm like, how did I not get the invite to this thing? It's because it's people that are exclusively named Josh. So listen, we're going to do a John fight. Curate a bunch of Johns. Your favorite Johns, put them in the comments below.
King of the Jons, and we're going to spell it Jowns. So then we're not taking a side in the John fight, and then you guys decide how that who wears the crown, which version of the name. So
yeah, maybe it should be Johns versus Jons, which is just people from Philly.
Yeah, there's people from Philly. Throw Rowan in there. Throw Smitty. Throw fucking Donovan McNabb, even though he's been retired for years. I feel like he's always in the mix. But yeah, that took quite a different tangent there. But that's that asshole Lamar and Morgenthau. He's just such a schmuck. And I don't know if it's the chin that gives him those sounds, but he just has just the worst. That shield is laugh out loud funny. I have to admit, I'm starting to like him in like a laughing at him kind of way.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it looked like a cookie sheet. It was like denting left and right.
It's like Homer Simpson made it. Like, come on, man. You're supposed to be you got Captain America. I'm now really worried about America in the MCU because they chose him as Captain America. Like fucking Steve Rogers would have built that thing, you know. He would have probably invented vibranium. He's just like a fucking like tough guy. He's smart. He's resourceful. This guy fucking, like you said, he took a cookie sheet and he painted it. What the fuck is wrong with
Elmer's glue, put his badge on there. It's like, all right, dude, you could fucking, all right.
I the first tweet I saw in the morning when I woke up, and I hadn't seen it at this point, was like, oh, Clem, I bet you're like really embarrassed about the way the Flag Smashers were. I mean, I think the Flag Smashers, like, Carly like went off the deep end. The rest of the Flag Smashers were like, dude, these are human beings here where you can't like hurt human beings. I mean, obviously they had a very crazy plan involved, but I was pretty proud of the way the Flag Smashers didn't go. When I saw that, I was like, oh man, the Flag Smashers did some fucking horrid shit. I was really terrified.
And even, I mean, we'll get to it later, obviously, but when Sam gives his big speech in front of everybody, there's a little redemption with Carly Morgenthau in there. Like, he lets them know, like, hey, she was fighting for something she believed in, and you know, you got to look at it from both sides. So, I mean, we'll get to it later, but the Flag Smashers, by the end of this, and I saw some tweets after the episode saying, like, wasn't super happy with their development, felt like we didn't get a ton of them. I thought they were very good villains for what they needed to be in this show. I thought, obviously, considering they probably got storylines cut because they apparently had some biochemical warfare and it was too close to COVID. But the scene between Carly and Sam in that church was amazing. You got to feel her side. She had shades of gray. I mean, she made even me by one episode. I was like, all right, the Flag Smashers, I could see where they're coming from. I see their point. And that's what I want in my villains. I want my villains, the best villains, don't think that they're villains at all. And that was the Flag Smashers. They definitely thought they were doing the right thing throughout this series.
Yeah, and I thought we were going to get more of the Flag Smashers if I thought they were going to be around in a key cog of this phase of the MCU. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they probably made their point. Again, anything.
And the GRC like stopped their vote at the end. They made a point to say like, "Hey, you must have done something right." Isaiah said, "You must have done something right," because the GRC stopped their vote. So the Flag Smashers, you know, basically got what they wanted.
Yeah. Exactly. And the Flag Smashers were born out of the blip, which we are very pro blip people. We don't like all the chaos it caused, but I mean, it's fucking Infinity War and Endgame were so awesome. And anytime they referenced, again, we said it with Brendan, the more blip material or material that somehow has like just a drop of blip content from the beginning, we're 100% in. And then the other thing was when the truck is up there and the fires are going, were you almost like, where's Spider-Man? Because that felt very Spider-Man-y. I'm like, when a truck is about to fall, Spider-Man's the guy that comes and he throws his webs and he, you know, uses his super strength to keep it up. And I was almost like, and I didn't honestly think we were going to get Peter Parker coming in. I thought it would have been awesome. Don't get me wrong. But
I actually did think we were going to get the Dora Milaje in this moment. I don't know why, because they took Zemo away. Like, they obviously, their story was tied up in the last episode, but there was just a little part of me like, is someone going to come save the day? Could it be like the Dora Milaje, or are they going to save John Walker in some way? I don't know. We didn't get that, obviously. I think that's just more set up for, I think they'll probably be a big part of Black Panther 2 and the Wakanda show. They were a huge part of Black Panther 1, so.
Dora Milaje was like, "All right, we got Nemo. Peace. Good luck
Yeah.
fighting those freedom fighters that are
They
about to."
fucking gave Bucky a slap on the wrist, took that arm right off, and they're on their way. Speaking of things we were 100% into, by the way, we were 100% into the blip, and I am 100% into HelloFresh right now. HelloFresh is going to help you skip trips to the grocery store and count on them to make cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. They give you fresh, pre-measured ingredients with mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. You can try these meals in 20 minutes or less, lightning prep recipes, and quick breakfasts and lunches, perfect for your busy schedule. HelloFresh offers 25 plus recipes to choose from every week, from vegetarian meals to craft burgers and extra special gourmet options. There's something for everyone to enjoy, even me. I say it every week. I'm a bit of a picky eater. I like a lot of plain stuff, like my stomach can't handle crazy stuff. HelloFresh has plenty of stuff for me to choose from every week as well. Their fresh ingredients are sourced directly from growers and delivered from the farm to your front door in under a week, contact free, of course. And over 4 in 5 HelloFresh customers say HelloFresh helps them lead a healthier lifestyle with delicious, low calorie, carb smart, and vegetarian options each week. I love this stuff. It's great even if you're not a great chef like myself. They give you the ingredients, they give you the recipes, the little instructional on how to do it, and it's just super easy. Not a big cleanup. The pre-measured ingredients are just as much as you need, so you're not going to have leftover that you're not going to use in your cabinet laying around for months. This stuff is amazing. If you go to HelloFresh.com/12Robbie and use the promo code 12Robbie, you'll get 12 free meals, including free shipping. That is an amazing deal. Can't turn that down. You can feed everyone on the Sam Wilson doc with that one. Again, that's HelloFresh.com/12Robbie, and then use the promo code 12Robbie. You'll get free shipping and 12 free meals. Let's get back into the show. So the flag smashers kind of start fucking Walker up right away. Like we said, his shield sucks, so it didn't provide much cover for him. And he's getting, those flashes of like almost the PTSD vibes. When you see that in war movies, that's what it looked like this. He's looking at his shield, he's looking at his badge, and then Bucky saves him from being killed. It looks like he's about to be killed because I think it's Carly or another flag smasher takes a big parking meter and is about to like stab him with it or something. He fights Carly then in the street. Sam Wilson gets to make this plan with the hostage, like you said in Red Wing, where he's like, "You're gonna pull up on this. I'm gonna throw a shield at it," and he fucking, it's like one of those throws that soccer players do, where it's like you got to do it over your head. He launched the shield at it like that. It was awesome. And then the hostage does pull up. He gets the enemies in it, and we cut back to Walker. Now he starts fucking Carly up. Carly starts running away from him, and she goes into the scaffolding. Another one of my favorite parts of the episode. She fucking hit a 619 on him in the scaffolding. Shout out to my man Rey Mysterio. I just thought that was awesome. She gets in a car when she hits the 619. He stumbles back. She gets in the car with the hostages, and she goes to run it off this cliff into the construction zone where Bucky is down there fighting another flag smasher. So she does that. Walker sees it and then sees, okay, I could go after Carly right now, or I could save the hostages. And they made the decision to make Walker make the decision to go after the hostages and save them. And we see the shield fall to the ground. You look up, Walker is carrying this. He's pulling this car back up, kind of something that Steve Rogers would do. He would flex the muscle or something like he does in Civil War. And the flag smashers attack him. Then the car falls anyway because Walker falls with him, and Cap has it. Sam is holding it. He's got the jetpack. He actually hits that pinball shield shot that you said he would never be able to hit off the trees. He hits a bunch of flag smashers all at once with it. I was like, there he is. Fucking, he made Clem eat his words on that one. And GSP comes back in, shoots a bunch of smoke grenades in the area. Everyone scatters. We see, though, John Walker, they're giving him shades of gray up to the very end. It looks like by the end of the series, he'll probably lean on the villain side. If you're going to say face or heel, he's probably going to be heel. But he's got elements of being a tweener. He's saving hostages. There is a part of him that thinks he's good.
It just would have been a lot easier if he just went the dickhead route. And I do appreciate it though, because I do, as much as I like my villains to believe they're good, I want my heroes to have some villain. I like to have I like to know what's not coming next, right? And that's always been a cool part of, I think, when wrestling started doing that back in the Attitude Era. And, excuse me, like, Tony Soprano and Heisenberg and all the anti-heroes or whatever they call them. I do like a little bit more of that coming into the MCU, which back in the comic books, I feel like everything was very black and white. This guy's a villain, this guy's a hero. And I think we're going to get into a group of villains that could become here, hero-ish down the road. Carly, you dealt with this guy. He's probably juiced out of his mind. He's a fucking schmuck. Saying his best friend who you just murdered, his life doesn't matter. You can't do that, Carly. You just can't do that.
She said, I didn't mean to kill anyone that didn't matter. Come on, man.
That's not good.
You know what that is, though? That's like, she's a young girl. She don't know how the world works. She don't know that was just a completely inappropriate thing to say. That's a teenager for you.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it, because like if she was trying to like piss him off, that worked perfectly. But I can't imagine she was looking to like get the dude who already has like serious anger issues. He's basically like Andy Bernard in The Office before he goes to like counseling, right? He like puts his fucking fist in the wall. So she deserved that entire ass kicking she got. And I love. This was something I think they had done earlier in the season. I love the whistle code that they have. Like,
yeah. The Flag Smashers whistle code.
Let's work on one of those down there. Like I feel like handshakes are going to kind of like secret handshakes are going to kind of go away with COVID. I think we need to have a whistle code, Bob. Me and you. Like,
all right.
Like, we're going to record tonight. So we'll work on that.
I like the whistle. We hit it across the office. So like if nerd news breaks, but we don't want the jocks to fucking shove us in a locker, we could hit it.
It's like up. Oh, I thought it was DC. No, MCU news. All right, we got to do this right now. I'm also an excellent whistler. Excellent whistler, Bob. I'm telling you, I'd say honestly, top 5% of humanity. That's where I stand in whistling.
Wow, Frankie Borelli, a big whistler. He loves hitting a good whistle.
Does he? When your life is going good, and just being able to whistle Dixie, basically, I guess is like the phrase. I think that's the highest I am. If anyone ever sees me whistling, I am on one at that point. I am in good vibe land at that point. So shout out to all the whistlers out there. I absolutely love whistling.
At this point, everyone heads underground, and this is where shit gets real. So Sharon splits up from the group right away, and you're like, oh, fuck, here we go. Shit's about to go down. Some amazing cinematography in this scene. There was a scene in particular where Sam steps out and just stands there for a second with the shield, and you see him with the shadowy background. It was badass. And Sharon hits that whistle we're talking about to Carly. We don't know who it is, and neither does Carly. And it gets closer. It's Sharon all along. They both draw weapons. They both point their guns at each other. And Sharon says, come back and work for me. What are you doing? You're like, oh, you motherfucker. You're disgracing your aunt, Sharon. Oh, my God. Especially as a Cap guy. I'm like, fucking Peggy Carter was the perfect woman. And you're disgracing the family name. But Carly says, listen, you just want me back because you got no power. How much power does the power broker have if she don't have super soldiers? And she says, still more than you. And GSP walks out. GSP was not hired by Carly. She was hired by Sharon. Double-crossed Carly. This is perfect. We knew we were coming into a spy espionage show. That's how, like, the third act of every Mission Impossible movie, every James Bond movie, they always have a double-cross of some sort. On the good side, on the villain side, doesn't matter. A double-cross has to happen. And GSP, Batroc, or whatever his name is, Bartrock, he says, fuck this. This is crazy. Everything about this. I want 4 times what you were originally going to pay me. You owe me 4 times what you were originally going to pay me. I think he even draws a weapon at this point. And Sharon says, I don't do blackmail. Fucking shoots him right away. Carly shoots her right away. Now, Bucky and Walker, we cut to, and they had worked together with the Flag Smasher app, which we both shout out. We were like, it looks like a good app. And they said, it was a good app. They tracked down the remaining Flag Smashers. They put them in vans. This was incredibly intense. And when Sharon is shot and Carly's standing over her, that this is not going to be a swell scene to walk into.
First of all, that app probably has 5 stars. I mean, it can't be on like the App Store. It's probably on like the dark web app store. But shout out to like the software developers that everyone forgets about. The Barstool app, and then the Barstool Sportsbook app. I can't believe that is part of the same company that couldn't even keep a website up like 3 years ago, let alone 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. The internet in the office is still by far the worst internet I've ever dealt with. Like when I do a podcast with KFC, he drops immediately, and he's in an office of an internet company. It's unbelievable. So shout out to whoever made that app. You guys are y'all the real MVP. Big time body shot episode, or people just getting shot in the bodies. I kind of like that was just the theme. The other thing is like, dude, 4 times as much, and then what is she just gonna pay you like that and like hit the Venmo? I thought that was kind of like a weird way.
He didn't think that through. Listen, MMA fighters, not the most educated people.
Oh, Bob, I know we have some crossover on here. You don't want to get thrown into the octagon by a listener.
I'm not saying all MMA people, but just a general rule of thumb. If you fought in the cage, you're probably not a Harvard grad.
Fair enough. Sharon is the queen of the side look. She does like that little side look. Like that's sus city. Like if you have to see her do it once, you're like, oh, you're the power broker. Like I could have told you that right away. She just loves doing the side look. And we'll get into it obviously as the episode finishes. I don't even need to hear what was the moment she decided she was gonna, turn against the government or turn against everyone. You went to fucking Madripoor. You were stuck like hiding from your own government for like the wrong reasons. Sharon, I'm not even going to give you shit for being the power broker. I would have probably done the same thing if I was even like 1 million smart enough or like had enough survival skills to make it that long. So Sharon, you're going to probably do a lot of wretched shit to good people down the road, but I'm not going to have any problem with you at all for what you do here. And it is a rough scene though, when you're walking in. It just, my girl Carly, just a tough look all around.
Tough look, standing over her shot and all that. Sam does walk in on this. He fights Carly, but really uses pure defense. She's screaming at him, saying, fight me, please fight me. He's just using the shield in this. He kind of pushes her with it, and she knocks him down at one point. She says, stay down. And they let it sit for a moment where you think almost he's going to say, I could do this all day, but he just hits a no. And maybe that's his version of it. I want to shout out, while we're talking about this fight scene, One Championship has been putting on amazing fights each and every week. Last week, they had great fights. I watched them live. I was tweeting along with them. One Championship is the world's biggest martial arts organization, and it is on TNT to end April with a bang this Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Don't miss the action-packed One on TNT IV immediately after AEW Dynamite. One of the biggest rivalries in One history comes to a head in the main event as one light heavyweight world champion and sporting icon Ong Laseng defends his belt against former one middleweight world champion Vitaly Big Dash. And in the co-main event, Eddie the Underground King Alvarez makes a quick turnaround after his controversial DQ loss at One on TNT 1. He takes a shot at redemption against dangerous Korean striker OK Ryu. One on TNT 4 airs this Wednesday night right after AEW Dynamite at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific time. Catch the prelims starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Bleacher Report. I will definitely be watching this main card. I'm going to want to check out that Eddie Alvarez fight. I'll be tweeting along with it. And that main event, man, that's going to be fireworks. Remember, the best fights are on Wednesday nights. But then Carly finally draws a gun on Sam. She's just, I think, scared about this whole thing. And then Sharon fucking shoots Carly just as she's about to shoot Sam. It was a whole, the Office thing with the fucking, we all got guns drawn against each other. And Carly dies in Sam's arms. Literally right there. It's kind of emotional. He carries her out and just in his arms in front of the reporters, in front of the cops, in front of everybody. Scene very similar to Batman Arkham City. The Joker dies in that game, and Batman walks out with him in that same pose, gives him to Commissioner Gordon. This was emotional, and the reporters out there ask him a ton of questions, and he walks right up to the senators, Sam does, and he says, do you still plan on closing those borders? And they said, yep, the terrorists only set us back a little bit. He says, you got to stop calling them terrorists. If you're going to make any change in this world, the labels like terrorist, thug, criminal, everyone has a common struggle right now, right? He said, that's what's going to bind us. These people were fighting for a cause they believe in. Carly died for what she believed in. Like, you got to start asking why. Why did she die? Why did these people follow her? Why did so many people believe in her? Because they were all put down. And he kind of shoots back and he's like, so what? Like, all the people that blipped back and now they're supposed to be homeless because they got people living in their house. And Sam was like, no, we're supposed to all work together from that. We're supposed to not look at them as terrorists and cast them aside. Let's talk about this. Let's figure out a plan. He gave a very meta speech at that point where he said, listen, I know what this is about, because the guy says, you don't know the struggle. He says, I don't know the struggle. I'm a fucking black man carrying the stars and stripes. He says, I know everyone watching this right now, 50% are probably mad. I know some people are probably judging me as I speak. And that I was like, he's kind of talking through the screen right there. Like, people are probably mad that there is a black Captain America right there. So Isaiah, we cut to him. He's watching it on television, and he's obviously getting emotional watching it. The Freedom Tower was amazingly put in the background. I'm sure they didn't actually shoot this in New York, so it was probably CGI'd in the background, but it was great framing of the Freedom Tower, and especially not the Empire State Building, because that's your enemy. Fuck
Wretched
that.
asshole.
That's one of Clem's biggest enemies. It's a long story. We won't get into it. That happened in Budapest. We'll get into it one day. And he tells the senator straight up, he says, do a better job and step up. He walks away. Bucky has a great line where he's like, listen, I was texting. I didn't really hear it. I just heard black Captain America, black guy in a Captain America suit, and calls him Cap. He says, I'm proud of you, Cap, or great job, Cap, or something. And that was just nice. We get the Flag Smashers being transported, and they're going to the raft, they say. And then we cut to Zemo's butler, and he blows the cars up. I didn't even realize it was Zemo's butler at first. The first watch, I didn't know who this was, and I was like, this is a fucking new character that I got to worry about. I looked it up afterwards. It's, of course, Zemo's butler, giving him the last laugh. They cut to him in prison, like reading a book and smiling. He hears it on the radio. And then we cut to Elaine. I'm not going to call her real name. We're going to call her Elaine, just like we said last week. And she's sitting there with John Walker's wife. And they're like, what are they doing in there? She jokes, actually, that she did the bombing. She's like, maybe I planned it. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Just perfect acting from Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Exactly like we said, like, this is what we want out of her in the MCU. She delivered in this scene just as much as she did it in the last scene. And then Walker comes out in a very comic book accurate U.S. agent suit. It's black. It's got the stars and stripes on it anyway. And she says, things are about to get weird. And when they do, we don't need a Captain America. We need a U.S. agent. He says, I'm back. He's incredibly happy. She actually gives him the name. And that things are about to get weird was another line that felt meta, didn't it? Where it was like, we're about to get weird with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
We're going to fucking Loki land next, so it's going to get really weird really quick. I like how she was kind of keeping her off balance, too, about, did I do it? Like, she might have played a fucking hand in it. Like,
totally. Still, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm still not sure. I love Zemo's butler. That guy is going to end up being my favorite character from the series in the long run. I'm telling you right now, that's my Lobot, basically, right? Which, by the way, I think Lobot was in the Bad Batch, or someone sent me a screenshot. I don't know if it was actually Lobot himself or someone who just looked like him, but I was like, we got Lobot involved in this, so antennas up, Bob. We might have a
listen, I mean, Dave Filoni is behind the Bad Batch. Let's not forget about that. He's the guy bringing in the characters like Lobot.
That's huge. When she said it's probably the helmet, which was taking him so long, I was thinking, like, that must be the worst part of being Captain America, because you have to get the eyes just right. Because if you've worn a mask, right? It's like if the eyes are off,
you're wearing a mask, even a hockey helmet. That was always my least favorite part of playing hockey. It was just like getting that helmet around your head, putting it on the next year as you're growing up, and then it's like, oh, this helmet's too tight on my big head now. You got a migraine by the end of the game. I'm sure that the first helmet the Captain America wore is probably fucking too tight on.
Yeah, exactly. The speeches and all that kind of stuff. First of all, let me just say this. Falcon America saying, don't call them terrorists. My guys, I'm not gonna say my guys anymore. The Flag Smashers not being called terrorists by the Falcon America feels like a win. Feels like
redemption. That's some redemption for sure.
And again, everyone has their struggles in life, and they're doing what they can do. This is the thing. This is why I don't want to call him Captain America. It just didn't feel like we had a Captain America moment where it's like, all right, this is Captain America. And maybe it's going to be that kind of way now, where it's like, again, you don't. A lot of these guys, they don't have the superhero names, right? It's like we said with Brendan Clancy again. It's like these guys are just called their names, and then it's like, all right, but you are Captain America. Steve Rogers only called himself Steve Rogers, right? Which was kind of the nice part about it, which is separated him from John Walker, who basically refused to be called anything but Captain America, even though he fucking was in the boots for like a minute. So I just thought it was kind of weird that we didn't have like this ceremony and pomp. I'm a big pomp and circumstance guy. I love opening day. I like the bunting up there. I like all that kind of stuff. They didn't have that with this Captain America, but maybe that's just the way they're going, which is very, again, that's a little Batman-y, right? Where it's like everything just happens, and then the things that are said just kind of roll, and that becomes part of the story. So that's why, there was the guy who said that's Captain America. Obviously he said I'm Captain America in the beginning. Those are kind of our two moments where he was announced as Captain America. He was also announced as Black Falcon, which was pretty funny. They kept that running, and then obviously what's his name? Bucky calls him something about a Black Captain America.
Yeah,
kind of keeping everything uneven there. But all in all, I think I was pretty happy that we just got to the next phase of it. It's just I thought that was my biggest gripe with this episode. I feel like there was a few things that they could have just tied up. Even Carly's death, it was like, what kind of bootleg super soldier serum did you get? Like a fucking bullet hole? And she died instantly, Bob. She died instantly.
And Sharon was fine. And I think there's something to that. So we'll talk about that when we talk about questions, when we talk about theories later. But the speech itself, I saw some people kind of being like, it was a bit much. It was, it was a bit whatever. It was very Captain America. It was very comic booky to me. It felt like I was reading that on the pages of a comic book. And that's, Captain America standing up for what's right. And that might be a little cheesy sometimes because that's, it sort of sounds cheesy when you're like, I don't like bullies. I'm going to stand up against them. That's just kind of the tone of that. So I definitely felt like that was very comic booky. I was like, that felt like a comic book monologue.
I agree with that. I think that Falcon, that's what I'm noticing with him here. I keep calling him Falcon America, whatever. He has that kind of persona. Like when he talked to Carly, I thought that was a cool back and forth where he wasn't just talking at her, he was talking with her. And there he was kind of going through that speech. And I will say that I did think that was a cool way to go about it. But if I thought they could have done maybe one or two more things that would have kind of galvanized everything together. But I dug that scene. I thought it was cool, and I thought he brought up some pretty fair points. Again, the flag smashers, not the T word. Not the T word. That's the biggest thing we have to take away from that. Not T words.
Bucky goes to tell Yori, who is extremely, extremely not sus, extremely not Hydra, what happened to his son. He finally crosses Nakajima's name off the list. It's very sad. He walks in. Yori's like, what are you doing here? It's not Wednesday. We're not hanging out today. And Bucky's like, I'm here to tell you what happened to your son. He was murdered by the Winter Soldier. We don't really see much more of the conversation. Yori, we see it closing the door on him. And he gives the book with every name crossed off the list to his therapist. His therapist opens it up. Every name's crossed off. One of the names crossed off was Paul Walter Hauser, who is a guest on My Mom's Basement. He is actually Sebastian Stan's best friend in real life. He'll be in the upcoming Cruella movie. He was in I, Tonya. He's been in Kingdom. But I thought that was a nice little Easter egg. Sebastian Stan put his best friend's name in his book.
We should do like a My Mom's Basement where you have all your names. Your book would actually be pretty fucking incredible. Dana White, cool. The Undertaker, Tommy Lee, Clem. What the fuck is going on here?
No, Clem goes above all those. Come on. Clem is the first name we list.
How sweet. You're such a sweet boy, Robbie. This was another thing. Again, I made basically a living out of slandering this poor old innocent man here who's again, they don't have a word for a dead kid, which kind of makes me feel awful that they said that just how terrible that is. And I was slandering him for the last month and a half. But it just felt like he's like, oh, I killed your son, by the way. And then Yori had like a sad face, like, huh. And then they just cut from it. I'm like, that was it? It
seems like a hard scene to write. I was thinking about it, and I was like, the writers might have got to that, and they're like, I don't fucking know how they would react to that. It's never happened.
This is my give me all right bonus episode. Give us a bonus episode next week, Marvel, and give us just a couple more things with the Captain America, a couple more things to smooth some things over, and give me a little bit more of the Yori storyline kind of tied up. Two things about Yori here that were still sus. One, come inside. It's late. Someone's going to call the cops. In New York fucking City, in Brooklyn, they're going to call the cops because someone's walking in. Everyone in New York City, it's a city that never sleeps, Yori.
He probably lives with a bunch of old people like him.
That was weak. And Mr. Yori, who was right, Rob? Clem was right. Yori sus as fuck. What did Yori do? He stole Bucky's girl. He got her pouring little drinks in there. He's probably going to play a little bit of Battleship and then a little bit of Twister afterwards, if you know what I mean. Yori is sus as fuck. I told you he stole Bucky's girl. All it cost him was his son. It's a fucking fair trade in the end. He can make another son with her if he wants.
Let me ask you this question right away. This comes from Josh. He said, after his slander of Sparky and Yori, should Clem just preemptively apologize for whatever Loki side character he'll inevitably inevitably deem sus or Hydra.
Oh man, and like Loki is a villain too, so I'm gonna be slandering like really good people probably because that's gonna be the other side. Yeah, I'm just gonna go out and apologize for like the nuns and like the priests and like the very like 5-year-old kid that has nothing to do with wrong. I'd be like, that guy is fucking Mephisto. Fuck him. Yeah, but you know what? I'm like J.R. Smith. I have to keep shooting because,
of course,
we had a comment last week where someone said that Yuri was going to be the power broker, and I was like, and I texted you just out. I was like, Bob, if that happens, you are never going to live that down. And you're like, you know what? I'm never going to be able to. Like, you're 100% right. So I'm going to have to keep shooting here because one of these days I'm going to hit, or Brendan Clancy's going to hit, and we're going to look like fucking prophets when it's all said and done.
Sam goes to visit Isaiah Bradley in Brooklyn. He mentions that the GRC is now standing down, no plans to close the borders. Says he must have done something right, kind of gives him props. And he says, a black Captain America, huh? And Sam goes, damn right. And that kind of felt like a bit of a moment, right? Where he's like, damn right, we got a black Captain America. Fucking read it and weep. And Sam tells him, there's something I'd like to show you. Why don't you put some clothes on? Not that he was naked. He just put some nice clothes on. And this was, Clem, not only my favorite moment of the episode, this is my favorite moment of the series by far. This was when I got full on tears the first time watching it, and I really teared up the second time. He takes him to the Smithsonian, and he walks him through the Isaiah Bradley exhibit. He has made an entire, not he's made it, he's got it made, entire exhibit dedicated to Isaiah and what he did for the country. He even tells him, he gives him a big hug. Isaiah's weeping in his arms. And he says, now they'll never forget what you did for the country. I got chills. Look at the goosebumps on my arm. Goosebumps. Even saying it. Because I was like, that's the entire show was worth it for the introduction of Isaiah Bradley and that moment right there where he said that. And it was just like, holy shit. The actor who played Isaiah, phenomenal job. The entire series, he did a phenomenal job. But it just felt like, oh my God, he really got his. And I want to shout out to Wyatt Russell. John Walker, phenomenal villain in this show. Or not even, you could call him a villain. You could call him a tweener. But
you call him a
schmuck. He added so much to this show. So shout out Wyatt Russell and shout out the actor that played Isaiah Bradley because tremendous stuff.
Guys, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube yet, we just had confirmed Goosebumps live on the camera. You just saw it, and that was legit. It looked like Spider-Man's arm in Infinity War. That was legit confirmed Goosebumps. People say Bob Fox, he's not putting on an act when he's crying, when he's saying Goosebumps. That shit is as real as it comes right there.
I can't even talk about the episode without getting goosebumps.
And this is what I hate when I have to then come in from the Clem side of things and I have to ask the tough questions. How quick did he get that fucking statue built? That's not an easy thing to commission.
Very quick.
The guy can't get a fucking loan for his boat, yet he can get a full thing. And I know he's Captain
Maybe
America
some time
now.
passed. I mean, 5 months passed.
All right, I need like the old 5 months later thing, like they did in Endgame with the years, because that's the only way you can describe how he got the statue, the plaque, the whole thing, and like that plaque looked like it was like chiseled, like that wasn't just something they like
looked like they had pictures from it, even though it was secret. He found it somewhere.
It had a full exhibit, and I mean, like I get like the video you can like edit. We have people at the producer at Barstool can edit crazy shit right now, so we can imagine what like the Smithsonian can do. But I mean, that I thought I was like, all right, that's a little crazy. But the actor was the perfect dude. That it's like he's an older guy that if he's pissed at you, you feel like shit. And if you actually make him happy, you're like, oh my God. It's like the teacher that was just tough on you, but you learned more than you ever did in that like class with them than you learned from any other teacher because you just wanted to like prove that they were good, that you were learning stuff from them. So that's what Isaiah was like. And he was like busting his balls the whole time. Falcon's like, man, I just saved a bunch of people in the city. I was one of the people that fucking saved the universe, right? So
yeah, he's like, are you ever gonna lighten up? And him and the nephew are both like, nope. By the way, nope. I just looked it up. I just want to shout him out by name, Carl Lumley. That's the name of the guy who played Isaiah Bradley in the show. Carl Lumley, phenomenal job. He could get, they give Emmys for like best guest appearance. He could get one of those, I feel like, for this show. He was just so good. Then we get happy, upbeat music. We get a very feel-good ending. You know, in the beginning of the show, we talked about Sam and Bucky sitting in that therapist office and saying, after this, we're going to go on our separate ways. We're never going to see each other ever again. And we said, I bet by the end of this series, they're going to turn back and they're going to eat those words and they'll be friends by the end of it. And we got exactly that. But I love, I don't look at that predictability as a negative. I love that predictability of like, that's why I watch superhero movies. I know the good guys are going to beat the bad guys in the end, and we're going to get a happy ending. We get that upbeat New Orleans music again. Sam's taking pictures with people in the dock. They're grilling up some whatever on the grill, whatever Cajun spiced food. And we finally get a title screen that says Captain America and the Winter Soldier instead of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The only way it would have been better was if it said Captain America and the White Wolf. We even got a question about that. Let me see who wrote in this question. He said, it was Matt Majeski. He said, why do you think they didn't change the end credit title to Captain America and the White Wolf instead? Bucky seems to have shed the name of the Winter Soldier, so it'd be perfect to change to White Wolf now. Matt, I agree with you. I think that would have been the only thing to make it better, to be honest with you.
So I think that's how they're going to end season 2. Is I think by the end of season 2, he'll have a White Wolf suit. It's going to be fucking awesome.
That's going to be amazing. I picture this might not be a great reference for you because it's more of a recent wrestling thing, but Seth Rollins eventually came out with an all-white jumpsuit, and my God, it was awesome. If you Google it right now, live on the show, Seth Rollins white jumpsuit. Just look at that. That's what I picture Bucky's White Wolf costume will look like.
That would be cool. And by the time this show comes out, or by the time season 2 of this comes out, which it sounds like they're going to do, like WandaVision's
going to do a movie first. I know that.
Yeah.
So I picture he'll be in the movie as well. We lead off with him with the Wilson family down in New Orleans. So I bet at the beginning of Cat 4, they'll be together still.
Yeah, agreed. But I think by the end of the next season 2, I'd say even by the beginning, and in the movies in the meantime between Black Panther or Captain America 4, any of that other stuff, he will have become the White Wolf. And then I do think that title card will be very alive. It'll be a living, breathing thing that could change a bunch of times, right? And I think
that'd be so cool. And I even said on Twitter, I said, well, imagine you do that. And then season 3, you bring in Isaiah Bradley's godson or nephew, whoever that grandson, and you make him Patriot. And then it's maybe, or you bring in Torres and you make him Falcon, and maybe it becomes Captain America and Falcon if you want to give Bucky a retirement. Then maybe it becomes Falcon and the Patriot, and maybe it's about Torres and the grandson. Like, you can legitimately take this show and really carry on a legacy with it.
Yeah, and Sharon Feige's like, yeah, guys, like that's 2039.
He's like, yeah, we got it planned out. We planned that out in 2016. You guys are super late.
Don't worry about that, you idiots. Speaking of New Orleans, we had to shout this out. That song that we loved, when the Buddy song, The Meters. A bunch of people hit us up. The Meters is the name of the group, and the name of the song is "Hey Pocky Away." Just an all-time great song. We could include
Jam, yeah. Throw that on your summer playlists.
Yeah, we can't include it here because you can't fucking iTunes is getting mean about putting I can't believe it took this long. It's amazing. Like
I know iTunes is cracking down, for those that don't know, on copyrighted music, which means My Mom's Basement is going to have a new theme very soon. If you're watching on YouTube, we have no theme currently. If you listen on the podcast, we have used Limelight by Rush as our theme, and that's going to change. I'm talking to some people where I'm trying to get like a licensed theme, which would be pretty cool. So fingers crossed that we get that. The new theme, if I get the song I'm looking to get, is so perfect for our show and so badass, I'll send it to you, Clem, after we record. Awesome. So fingers crossed. I think I'm going to get it.
Speaking of music, I did see It Was Sharon All Along. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was good.
I did see that. Oh, something I wanted to mention, by the way, way earlier on, they changed for the closed caption gang. They changed like Falcon or Sam Wilson to Captain America as soon as he was seen in the suit. Like it said, like Captain America grunts, Captain America, whatever. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Like he's actually Cap now. Feels good to have Captain America back in the MCU. Like we have a Captain America. He exists.
How you doing, Mr. Cap? Mr. Cap Stan?
It feels amazing. It feels great.
I'm happy for you. All
the shield is like being used. We got our post-credit scene. There's only one. We got 2 post-credit scene in WandaVision, but only one in this, where we see Sharon Carter getting her pardon. And and she walks out with this devious look on her face. She makes a phone call and she says, it's about to be a lot easier for us to get full access to government weapons, government protocols, all this shit. We might have abandoned the super soldiers, but it is what it is. And some people I know said, listen, why would she bring them right to the lab of the guy that was helping her make the super soldiers? That doesn't make any sense. It was just a random twist. I think Sharon was like, in that moment, as soon as Sam told her I could get you a pardon, she was like, fuck that. I'll sacrifice the super soldiers as long as I can get the pardon and get back into the U.S. government. I think she made that a conscious decision. I don't think that was like a plot hole at all.
Yeah, I think that one's easily. I don't think that's a gap. I think they filled that in perfectly fine. Again, Sharon, she was so fucking badass in that scene too. Like, you have to remember that we were calling her John Wick, Joan Wick, basically. So I can't wait to see what like they have cooking for us with her down the road, because the power she has, the people she's dealing with, and I will say, I thought we might get like a bigger reveal at some point this episode, and I thought maybe the post credits. Again, the movies, you know, if this was a Captain America movie, which I guess this is technically Captain America now, you feel like you're going to get something a little bigger than that. But again, it's a lot of transition. It's a show. This also would have been the first show if COVID never happened. So They might have been asking a lot to have that big jump right away. So
I thought we were going to get a different reveal here too. And I still think we're going to get it. So let me get to a question, and then I'll talk about my theory. So we got this question from Brandon Joseph, and he says, the after credit scene definitely sets up Armor Wars, right? Rhodey is trying to figure out how all this U.S. equipment and all these weapons got into the hands of bad guys, and it's Sharon all along. I actually didn't consider that until Brandon wrote in the question, but I think that's probably accurate. I think it very much could be the setup for Armor Wars, and maybe the reveal in Armor Wars is that Sharon Carter is not Sharon Carter at all, and that she is a Skrull, and that is the setup for Secret Wars, Secret Invasion, whatever that may be. She recovered mighty quick from that gunshot to the stomach, didn't she? And it's just not a Carter thing to do. Maybe it's just me being in denial because I'm like, a Carter can't be a bad guy, but a Carter can't be a bad guy. It's got to be a Skrull.
I guess I'll have to take back my, I forgive all that happened because you had to live in the seedy underbelly of Madripoor for a few months or years. I kind of, it's a bad look for me, but from what I can gather, the Secret Wars or whatever, Secret Invasion, and the Skrull shit, everyone becomes a Skrull at some point. You find out everyone's a Skrull. So I guess we almost have to get ready for that. So I could co-sign that. I could see it. The bullet wound definitely adds a little extra to that as well.
And some people say the timeline didn't add up exactly, where Sharon got blipped away, and by the time she came back, people were saying maybe they said she was already running Madripoor, so maybe she got blipped away, a Skrull became her, started running Madripoor, and then where's the real Sharon Carter? I don't know. Maybe she's on the fucking moon with Steve Rogers.
Do we have a question about that one?
We don't have a question about that one. We could talk about it.
No, so I am convinced now that he is going to be in space, whether it's with Nick Fury or someone in Sword. And it's just people think he's in the moon, because telling people that there's a fucking Sword in space, there's a, space agency like that, or a thing for the entire universe, would blow people's fucking minds. Even after all the Thanos stuff and everything there, they have no idea just how crazy it is. So the moon seems like this wild, crazy thing for Steve Rogers to be. It's no. We're going past the moon. So I think it's going to be he won't technically be on the moon, even though, again, I love the moon-based theory. But I
do think old Steve is still around. Someone tweeted me and they said, how does it feel knowing Steve Rogers is definitely dead and we got a new captain? I was like, I definitely don't think Steve Rogers is dead. I still think Steve Rogers dying is a moment they're going to show us in the MCU at some point.
Was that tweet written with sass behind it? Or was
I think it had some sass. Who wrote me this tweet?
I might block that person. They may not even follow me, but I may block him. I don't need sass.
Let me see the sass. It's Nick Bailey. Nick Bailey. He said, how does it feel knowing Steve Rogers is big time dead and Falcon is the new Captain America? I mean, you saw how happy I was when I just said we got a new cap. I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, he's gonna cry so happy about it. Nick, what the fuck is here? It's like Sean McCoy, RP my dog Tony Stark, just to ruin it for everyone. Nick, what the fuck's your problem, man? I love Steve Rogers. Don't fucking rub it in the face. He might be dead right now. Hey, listen, Steve Rogers, it could definitely be Steve Rogers did not save the universe. That was Tony Stark who saved the universe because Steve Rogers fucked up in previous movies, and Tony Stark had to like clean up his whole mess.
Steve help. Listen,
So
Steve help. Let's get to the
Tony's the
final
bad
two
guy.
listener
And
questions before you
I'm
ramble
upset.
on anymore
I'm
on this
upset that Tony Stark was
tirade
dead.
because
Nick.
now I gotta pull the leash back. I'm like, whoa, easy.
Nick.
The final two questions, the first of which comes from Beertown Mike. He says, also, Zemo being on the raft has to play into something down the road, right? Maybe the Thunderbolts. I think that's exactly what it plays into. I think maybe in one of the next shows, Thunderbolt Ross, you show him talking to Zemo, you show the Thunderbolts forming, maybe you even have Madam Hydra come in. And she comes in with John Walker and breaks him out of the raft or something. Maybe she was connected with the butler. Maybe she, has been in communication with Zemo all the time. I think that's confirmed. Zemo will be back in the future. Even if they didn't have plans to bring him back in the future before this, after seeing the fan reaction to him, you have to.
Yeah, I'm at the point where if it's not Thunderbolts, I'll be shocked because you're just hearing so much about it. Now, this is the thing. Sometimes Marvel, as we just learned in the last series, like everyone's like, it has to be Mephisto. It may not be Mephisto. It may not be the Thunderbolts. It'll probably be whatever they can do in terms of having it make sense to people. They couldn't have Lady Death in Infinity War. It would have just been too much for people to take in. Thunderbolts isn't quite like that, but there's going to be a lot of challenges where they have to build that up, even with, they could go the TV route, they could go the movie route. It may not be like the Thunderbolts, but it'll probably be some sort of that idea, and whether or not the name is there. It does feel weird. I just hate that DC has 2 Suicide Squads out, and this feels like a Suicide Squad, right? It feels like the Marvel version of it, but it is what it is. It's like, who cares? And I hope Suicide Squad is awesome. We're James Gunn people.
Yeah.
But,
did you see, by the way, between our last recording session and this one, he tweeted the script for the holiday special is done. The first draft of it. He turns it in. And Mark Hamill, by the way, quote tweeted it and said, "I've got a bad feeling about this," obviously in reference to the Star Wars holiday special flopping. But I just thought that was great. I hope he gives Mark Hamill a little role in it. That would be like a nice little cameo, a nice nod to the holiday special.
That would be awesome.
Just make him a weird looking alien. Let him do the voice of someone. He's a great voice actor. Give him something little. Just put him in the credits.
I'm more excited for that holiday special than I am for almost every other movie, show, whatever in the next X amount of years. That's how much I love the Guardians. I almost went on a tweet thread, crazy long tweet eruption, just saying how much I love Guardians 2 and how I think it's a top 3 Marvel movie. I was it's not worth the mention.
No, you should do it. After this episode, the listeners are going to have the little prelude to it. And they'll encourage you. Fucking tweet Clem, be like, don't be a coward. Tell us how much you love Guardians of the Galaxy 2, motherfucker. Our final question is from Beta Ray Derek. He says, there were a lot of things, and I bring this question up because we got to have one crazy theory to close the whole thing off. We got to have one crazy one out there one. He said there were a lot of things going on during the series and the MCU in general in Eastern Europe. Do you think that's eventually going to piss off a certain ruler of Latveria, a.k.a. Victor Von Doom? Yes, I do. I absolutely think it's going to piss him off, and I think he's going to fucking come into Loki or whatever the next show is.
Yes.
Maybe not the next show, but I want him to. It'd be awesome. Listen, I'm all for the crazy cameos. Do I think they're all going to happen in these shows? No, but I'm all for them. Do I think Loki has the potential to get a few of them? Of course. I'm going to keep the hopes up because why not? We're going to look forward to the next week. We're going to speculate. We're going to be bouncing off the walls with theories. We're going to get Brandon Clancy back for that. He's going to come back for movie commentary too. Yeah. Why not? That's what I say. Why not?
Why not? There we go.
Why not?
Who wrote the question?
Boom. It was Beta Ray Derek.
Shout out Beta Ray Derek. Shout out Derek. You are the anti-Nick Bailey. I love you. I fucking hate Nick Bailey. As much as I hate him, I love you for bringing this up. That is the perfect way to cap this, is with a fucking something that is almost definitely not going to happen.
Up there. I love it.
But just having that feeling in my stomach, be like, oh shit, that makes perfect sense. Of course it's going to happen. I need Dr. Doom in this. I need them to be done right in this universe, just like I need all those people in Marvel. And Dr. Doom is one of those people, again, I didn't really follow during my times reading the comics, but I just know he was fucking awesome. And I want to see Marvel, who takes characters no one cared about and makes them awesome. I can only imagine what they're going to do with a guy like Dr. Doom. There's Dr. Doom, Mr. Sinister, Apocalypse. I mean, Magneto.
And look at who they're casting too. Look at Russell Crowe just got casted, Christian Bale just got casted, and all these A-list actors: Selma Hayek, Angelina Jolie, Kit Harington, who's going to be cast as Doctor Doom? Who's going to be cast as Sinister? Who's going to be cast as, if they want to bring in Mephisto eventually, who's going to be cast? Is going to be fucking Pesci? Like, we had a listener on our WandaVision recaps be like, I think it should be fucking Joe Pesci. I was like, I'm not going to turn that down.
No,
we had someone say
Pacino.
it should be Pacino. No, I think we had both. Or maybe I said it should be Pesci just because I like Pesci's voice. I've said in the past that if Baby Yoda ever talks, I would love for Pesci to do the voice.
That would be awesome. Oh, so yeah, sign me up for the Doctor Doom stuff. Loki, like, so this is actually, it's not really a question, but would you say in terms of, if you're tiering the Marvel characters, I would say Loki is above the last two series in terms of above Scarlet Witch, Vision, and then the two in this episode. I mean, now he's Captain America, he rises up. But I feel like Loki, in terms of prestige in the universe, is higher than them. So why couldn't he kind of have actual, like, run-ins with different people? Because he's the only one that's,
and he'll be time jumping, right? There's gonna be weird time travel stuff, maybe different planet stuff. There was one scene where it looked like he was on a Vormir type planet. So I think, and especially they've got, like we've said in the past, the guy writing it, Michael Waldron, is also writing Doctor Strange 2, and he's also writing Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie. So obviously this guy wrote something awesome in Loki and Doctor Strange 2 that Kevin Feige was like, all right, I'm hiring one guy to write my Star Wars movie. It's fucking that guy. So I'm looking forward to that. This has been an amazing journey. It's bittersweet saying goodbye to this, because I've genuinely enjoyed doing these breakdowns, doing these recaps, as much as I've enjoyed watching the show. Like, these past 6 episodes have been a ton of fun. These podcasts take me forever to edit, but I still have a blast doing it. It's like, man, talking about fucking Falcon and the Winter Soldier, talking about comic book shit with one of my best friends in the world. What's better than that? We got the life here.
It's awesome, man. Like you said, we get to watch it. We get to, I mean, just putting the notes together, going through, doing the homework to kind of get ready for the episode. And then, like you said, we drop the episode. And then even from the time it airs on Friday to the time we drop the episode, say Monday, and then all the hype going into the next week, all the different listeners tweeting at us and kind of going back and forth. It's one of the coolest things. I mean, we've just kind of started. I mean, we did some Mando stuff way back when, but it's like you said, this doesn't feel like work. It's just fun. We'd probably just be doing it ourselves, right? We'd be just bullshitting about it. So the fact we get to do it and record it, and thanks to everyone who listens, thanks to everyone who watches, because it's an absolute blast, and it's something I legitimately look forward to every single week. So, and again, I don't know where we're going to
remember, this isn't goodbye. We'll be back next week. We're just saying goodbye to this series. We're going to be back next week with a Batman 89 movie commentary with my older brother. So if you want to watch that to prepare, or if you want to just save it for the commentary, there you go. And we'll be doing movie commentaries until Loki debuts. But make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. Once we hit 400,000. Once we hit 4,000, we're going to put those shirts up. Listen, I would love to hit 400,000 before the next week too. I won't stop us from hitting 400,000, but we're just going to put the shirts up at 4,000. Shout out to Nathan Hurst for the amazing designs. Yeah. As always, that guy's a fucking legend. Make sure you follow him as well, Nathan Hurst Art. He tweets some stuff that he just works on in his free time and stuff. Just an awesome cartoonist. And follow us on Twitter, The Clem Report, Robbie Barstool.
Bob, I got to ask this last thing. Final grade for the show.
Oh, we didn't do a grade. I'm going to give The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't remember what I gave WandaVision. I think I might have gave it a B or a B plus. I would give this a B minus.
Okay. Yep.
It never gripped me quite as much as WandaVision did, but I enjoyed it all the way through.
So I'm going to give this like a C, but it's not like the C. You feel two different feelings in your stomach when you get a C. This is like, I feel all right. It's like a C to a C plus, but it's like
not a cap guy. It's like, all right, that science isn't my subject.
Exactly. And if that's a good way to put it, science was not my subject. Science or math.
Me neither.
The way, if I had felt like I did after the last episode, I think it would have been a C plus. But it's just there was something missing. Whether it was the right kind of a montage with the right music. That music, I thought they nailed the last episode. There's just, again, they didn't tie it up. There wasn't enough of a landing without as much of like a crescendo that I was just like, there was just something missing there. So I'm C to C plus, you're B minus. So I think it's a very fair rating. I don't think anyone can call us like being unfair either way on that. I think that was pretty fair.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was an A plus amazing. I'm not that Captain America biased, but I am a little Captain America biased. It's just how it is. I love my guy Cap.
So if it was a white Captain America, you would have given it an A? Oh, Bob, that's
we're cutting the show. We're cutting the show. Clem's going to get us canceled. We'll see you next week.